Okay, we're live now.
All right.
Do you want to call the meeting to order and then I'll do the roll call?
Yes, I'd like to call this meeting of the Pandemic Task Force to order. Madam Clerk, will you do we invocation? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Roll call first.
Roll call. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jackson,
Here.
Gage Watts,
Here.
Epperson,
Present.
Taliaferro,
Here, ma'am.
and Johnson.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
All right. I will lead us in a brief prayer, and if Commissioner Taliaferro will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If we all could have a moment of silence, take this time to have a moment of silence to ourselves for a brief moment. All right, Lord, thank you. We come to you today here to ask you to bless this meeting. We want to say thank you for bringing us here to this day and this moment to do your work. God, we thank you for life, for health, and for strength. And we ask that the decisions that we hear and the discussion that we have here today is pleasing to your sight. These are the blessings we ask. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Mr. Taliaferro.
Ready? Yeah, you bet. For those who are able, they're not traveling, place your hand over your heart. And those of veteran status may render his traditional hand salute as we pay allegiance to the greatest country God has created by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
Under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Taliaferro. Thanks to everybody participating in the opening activities. Next up, Madam Clerk.
We have agenda additions. I haven't received any.
Okay. Does any committee members have any agenda additions at this particular time?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, yes, sir.
I'd like to call for agenda addition.
Okay.
I'd like to make an agenda addition that the Pandemic Committee make a recommendation to the chairman of the commission that we hold future commission meetings via Zoom.
Okay. All right. At this time, there is a motion and a motion by Commissioner Epperson, second by the chair, to recommend to the commission chairman to hold commission meetings via Zoom at this time. We'll now open it up for a public hearing. At this particular time, we'll open that up for a public hearing. Madam Chair, if you want to give out the phone number for those in opposition or those in favor
They can reach our office by calling 318-226-6596.
All right, those in favor, we'll give you about 30 seconds to call in. Let us know when our time is up, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
And Madam Clerk, I also would like to point out that we do have Commissioners Young and Hopkins here as well. So I always like to point that out as well.
Okay, and we have not received any calls.
Okay, well, public hearing is closed at this particular time.
Do we do roll call vote now?
Sure.
Okay, Jackson,
Yes.
Gage Watts,
Yes.
Epperson,
Yes.
Taliaferro, Commissioner Taliaferro, you are on mute.
Yeah, sorry, Madam Clerk, had a little difficulty there. No,
Yours is no?
no.
Okay, and Johnson is absent. We have 3 in support, 1 in opposition, and 1 absent. That motion carries.
Okay.
And now we move to public comments. I did receive a citizen's comment from Candy Peavy. I forwarded it to all the commissioners. I didn't know if you wanted me to read it out loud or just make it part of the record.
Sure, you're welcome to read it.
Okay, let me pull that up real quick.
That's your call. If y'all want to read it, if y'all just want to enter into the record, that's your call.
I read it via email.
Okay. So, Madam Clerk, I think we can just go ahead and just enter that into the record. I did read it where she talked about the recommendations from the, I think, was it Dr. Alexander? I believe that was the person.
Right. Okay, we'll put it into the record. Now we move to new business. We have a certificate for teleconference. Do we need to vote on this? I can't remember.
No, we just need to acknowledge it.
Okay, so no action needed for that. And then our next new business item is authorized parish administration and HR to develop an interim emergency infection control policy for parish employees.
Move for adoption, Mr. Chair.
Second, moved by Commissioner Epperson, second by the chair. Commissioner Epperson, do you want to speak on your motion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman and members, as well as visitors, it is my understanding that based upon our personnel policies, procedures, as well as the responsibilities that's given to the administration as to the health, welfare, and the stipulations for hiring, lies primarily with the administration to make those type recommendations. And I'm assuming we are looking at the issue relative to the vaccination of our employees, whereas it'll provide for safety of fellow employees as well as the general public in which that they interact with. Once again, I think that it's particularly their purview to make those recommendations, and I would hope wholeheartedly that they would do so in the most expedited manner, realizing the situation that we are dealing with this pandemic. I don't know if you all noticed today, I think Louisiana is 4th in the nation as far as infections with the variant. We are at about less than 50% as far as vaccinations are concerned. And this thing is lying rampant. And each day that we neglect trying to do something to mitigate the spread of this dreaded disease, it just allows it to take fully control over a situation in our population, which we certainly, as intelligent and articulate human beings, should realize that we have that we have the right and responsibility to do whatever we can to mitigate this circumstances. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson. I also want to just add that this motion basically will task administration and HR to develop a policy. This is not mandating anybody to do anything. This is not forcing anybody. One of the things that I would like for them to consider is looking at vaccination requirements. I don't like the word mandate, but vaccination requirements, masking as optional, some alternatives, and an option to opt out. And so when they opt out, now I think I saw Dr. Wilson come on, but I do see Ms. McGee.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Cheryl, y'all feel free to give feedback, but vaccination requirements, an option to opt out, masking, testing, also looking at education, just health and wellness, infection control education. When I worked at David Raines Community Health Centers, every flu season, and I'm not sure if Ochsner's and Willis Knighton and Shumpert has the same policy. But every flu season, we were required to either take the flu vaccine or opt out. And we had the option to opt out. And if you opted out, you were required to wear a surgical mask, particularly when you were in the clinical setting. And so we have a very infectious virus going around. We want to keep everybody safe, but we also want to make it in a way that we're not imposing or infringing on anybody's rights or liberties. And so giving individuals the opportunity to opt out. But if you opt out, there are some mitigation measures that we will need to have in place to make sure that everybody is safe, not just those that are vaccinated, but those that are also unvaccinated, because it's also a liability issue as well. So I'll open it up if HR would like to, or Dr. Wilson, if y'all would like to speak at this time. But again, this motion and this proposal is simply asking and tasking administration and HR to develop a comprehensive sort of infection control wellness policy.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I think I see Commissioner Watts.
Okay, I apologize. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watson, then I'll come to you, Dr. Wilson.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Epson. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to chime in and garner my support on this legislation as well. I do believe that it is our responsibility to at least advocate for this vaccine as well as the mask, because those are the only weapons that we have in this pandemic. As both of you have mentioned, there are alternatives, options, to opt out. However, whatever we can do to stop this ultra contagious virus from spreading, I think that we should do it. And I know that we should. We owe it to the vast community to keep them safe. We have already done the worst thing, and that is overwhelming our healthcare system. You've heard from all of our local healthcare systems here in North Louisiana, all throughout the state of Louisiana, as well as knowing that in the last 72 hours, we've had over 11,000 new cases. So there's nothing that we can do to stop this disease, but we can do our part and stop it from spreading right now. So if people are rejecting the vaccines, then wear the mask, but you got to have something in place. So I'm glad that you mentioned, Mr. Chair, that this is not a mandate that we are issuing or, being presumptuous about it, but we are offering our a formal request to administration to look at this policy and do the best to implement it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gage Watts. Okay, Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir, and good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I was just as the administration asked me a little bit of clarity on this one, because on July the 29th, we did issue out an updated policy from the administration, and we sent to all commissioners and staff that everybody must wear a mask regardless of whether you're vaccinated or not, indoors, and stay social distance apart. That's already in place.
Right. Dr. Wilson, I think what this policy is talking about more infection control rather than distancing. I think the policy there talked more about distancing. And so I think this is looking at a sort of comprehensive approach, vaccine requirements. And if you don't want a vaccine, to opt out. And so to go a step further is what we're asking administration and HR to basically craft a policy to send to the commission body for consideration.
Okay, just by where we did have an opportunity to survey 180 of our employees last week prior to the resolution that was being considered before the commission. And we have 56% of all the employees surveyed actually has already been totally vaccinated.
Okay.
We'd say 44% is not just, we only survey 180 out of the 350 employees. And so, there's an array of reasons why those who had not chosen to be vaccinated did have opportunity to correspond back to us in writing on the survey.
Right.
So we had that information.
Well, that's good.
And we also took a step further today. We went back to social distancing in the chamber as well. That you can't, we blocked off seats to make sure everybody was apart in the chamber as well. So we'll look at what we can do to ramp things up a little bit more. But most of the measures are already in place, and we've been have measures in place since March of last year.
Yeah. Well, Doc, my understanding is there are probably going to be some more restrictive measures on the way. And my hope is that
Yes, sir.
we are doing what we can.
We'll take a look and see what else we can do.
Yeah, to do what we can. But again, this recommendation to administration is to draft a comprehensive policy that looks at all of the tools in the toolbox. Vaccination, masking,
sure. And
testing, but also a key component of that, I believe, is education, making sure that we are educating the public,
right,
and educating our employees. We have to go through an hour. All employees have to go through an hour of ethics training. All employees have to go through an hour of sexual harassment training. I think at some point there may need to be some education, particularly for in this period that we're in, about one, health and wellness, but two, about, this particular situation that we're in. And just maybe you might get 2 or 3 people who understand, not indoctrinate them, not try to chastise them, but simply saying, we want to provide you with public health information, certified, truthful, and accurate information so that you can make your own informed decision. And so, and that way nobody can say anything was forced or infringed upon them. There's a lot of resources out there. There are a lot of people talking. There are a lot of people being misled, and we know that. Right. And so it's my hope this policy, I don't think is punitive. We're not looking for anything that's punitive. We're looking for something that's going to encourage. Okay. Yes, sir. I'll catch these comments as I saw the hands go up. I saw Hopkins, John Paul, and Talaferro.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
If I might give a point of information, I would think that we would give the committee members first opportunity. And I saw Mr. Talaferro saying that. He's
okay. Yes, sir. I'm Commissioner Talaferro. Let me apologize. So I'll go Talaferro, Hopkins, Young. I apologize. I just was catching them as I saw them. But thank you, Commissioner Epperson. Yes, Commissioner Talaferro, you're a committed member of the committee.
Oh, well, thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of things. I agree with Dr. Wilson. I believe that we are currently doing everything that we can by encouraging people to the social distancing, to the masking, short of demanding or suggesting, that they get the vaccination. I'm all about, short of closing down, I think, City Hall, so to speak. I think we're doing about everything that we can to ensure that business goes on and that people are able to do their business, do their jobs in a safe and secure and healthy environment. I'm also, on the education part, I think that right now it just seems that the only education that people are getting is obviously it's either masking. No, I'm sorry, let's do this again. It's masking, it's inoculation, and it's both. I have not seen any information out there on possible approved alternatives to give our citizens on how they can boost their immune system. There are available means out there where they can take to minimize their symptoms or treat the COVID as well. And of course, everybody on this call has read study after study on both sides of the aisle or both sides of the equation. So we don't need to debate that. I just want to make sure that if we're going to push information out there, we do our homework and we get as much information as possible. I think people are pretty much worn down with, yes, I need to wear my mask. Yes, I should, or I have the option of getting the vaccination. And yes, I am aware of social distancing. But flipping back to Dr. Wilson's comment, we're doing everything I think we can in the chamber to protect our citizens and our commissioners, and short of shutting that down. But obviously, there's always room for dialogue, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Talaferro. Did I see Hopkins and then Young?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be brief. I know that was one of the things I pointed out last week, is that the administrator had instituted a policy of wearing a mask, and he does have the authority, and his departments have the authority to discipline if they're not following that order. I had a whole lot of trouble with the mandate and making people feel like, well, you're going to do this, or you could, after your fourth time they found out you weren't vaccinated, you could lose your job. I mean, that scares the heck out of people. I do agree we probably need to hold a couple more vaccination deals within the parish itself. That might help. We might even look at temperature taking as they come to work. I think all those are a lot less intrusive than what we originally had talked about. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Hopkins. Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to point out repeat and point out some guidelines that would appeal to me in a comprehensive policy. The first one is, as you said, Mr. Chair, that vaccination should be voluntary. The second one is that, which I think you agree with and we would all agree with, is that vaccination status should not be a basis for discrimination between employees, because we want to respect the choice that we give to people. And then the last one is to repeat sort of what Commissioner Talaferro was saying, is that it would be good if our administration could speak to some local physicians. I've been put in touch with some recently who have some experience treating COVID patients before they get into the hospital, if we're going to offer sort of a comprehensive set of information for people for their health care and for infection control. So I can pass on some information about that some very, very well-informed constituents have shared with me. And I hope that the policy will be a good one. I think our administration is capable of making it just right. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw Commissioner Gage-Watt's hand first, and then Commissioner Epperson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say respectfully that I agree that we all have choices, but this is a situation that is bigger than our choices. Our destiny is truly at stake at this point. We have done everything that we can do to mitigate the spread. We've done everything that we can do amongst one another, but this is an additional tool that I believe is required at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gage-Watt. Commissioner Epperson.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Everything that I've heard has been wonderful. And I think we're just working into a smorgasbord as to what we are asking the administration to do. It's a very broad range of basically education. And that's all we're asking. We aren't mandating anything. We just want the administration, who's responsible for over 400 employees, interacting with the public every day, and other agencies, to come up with anything and everything that's possible and logical and reasonable to educate our employees as to what the situation. There's so many negative things that's going on in social media and things of that nature. And one thing I'd like to add to the administration possibly looking into is that we got the district judges, we got the DA's office, we got the sheriff's department that's in there. I think any of these agencies that's housed in any of our buildings, and I've been privy to information that there have been people that have been infected and we know nothing about, and we're next to them every day. And don't come up with the HIPAA. The HIPAA thing would be if you say John Doe, age 99, contracted the disease, you know what I mean? That's violation of the HIPAA. But if you come up and say that, ladies and gentlemen, last week in the judicial department, there were 3 people that tested positive. You see what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. In our
similar to like what the school board has, where they're just reporting a figure out. It sounds like
that's all figure. You don't do no names. That's not a violation of HIPAA. You don't do any names to give out any personal information. All you say that there are individuals that's in agencies that work for us and around us that have reported positive, and they are undergoing quarantine or whatever. And I just think it's only fair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you get that also, Dr. Wilson? As part of it is sort of like
yes, sir. Matter of fact, we sent a letter out today to all our employees working in a particular department that an individual that tested positive in that department. So we already do that. We will talk to other agencies that we work with to get them to do the same thing, and also let us know.
And if you could share that information with commissioners as well. So
yes, sir. Yes, called notice of workplace exposure to communicated a communicable disease is the title of our document.
Gotcha.
Okay. And anytime we get that, we notify everybody in that building that someone been exposed to something.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to make sure that did I miss the motion? Have y'all made a motion to send this to the full body, or
not yet?
No.
Y'all just made the motion
I think you came in after the motion was made. The motion was made to ask administration and HR to develop a policy to bring to the full body. That motion was made by Commissioner Epperson and second by the chair.
Okay. All right.
You good?
Yeah, I just need to know because I got a 4 o'clock, so need to vote on it.
All right. Well, I don't see anybody else on the board. Madam Clerk, want to call the roll?
Sure. Jackson,
Yes.
Gage Watts,
Yes.
Epperson,
Yes.
Taliaferro, Commissioner Taliaferro.
Yeah, if you're talking, you're muted. Okay, let's go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, that carry with 1, 2, 4 in support and 1 absent.
Yeah,
and before we move on to the next new business item, I just wanted to say that I misspoke on the agenda addition. It has to be unanimous for it to carry, and we had 1 in opposition. So now we move to the next new business item, which is administrative update on eviction mitigation program.
All right, Dr. Wilson or the attorney's office, it's on you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners, we don't have anything else to vote on. So Commissioner Johnson, that was the only action item that we had. But if you want to be here for, because we also want to make sure that we get a housing also on the realm of ERAP as well.
Okay.
So the rest
I got a 4 o'clock. So
okay, yeah, the rest is information. All right, Doc.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson and other commissioners, please be advised that as of today, the parish attorney's office has extended offers to contract to 3 attorneys who maintain offices within Caddo Parish. 1 has accepted, and the contract is out for review. We hope that all 3 contracts will be signed by the end of this week. And basically, what this would entail that the names and contact telephone number of the attorneys will be placed on the ERAP website as attorneys to call if needing eviction assistance due to past due rent. Then also the contract attorney will need to obtain the caller's name and rental address, and then the attorney will need to contact the parish to determine if the caller is eligible for the attorney services. And then once that's done, the attorney will confirm eligibility, and then he may proceed with calling the applicant. So we have 3 attorneys who accepted the offer to work with this program. We currently have 1 going through the contract process right now with us. 2 others will be going into the process with us to have the services available for those who desire it, who are ERAP applicants. And so those 3 attorney names will be put on our website. They call either one and make an appointment and give the detail to the attorney to represent them.
Doc, appreciate that update. Quick question or suggestion: would it not make sense for the parish legal department or Mrs. Barnett or Ms. Bryant to divide the list up, because we know people who have either applied or waiting? Would it not make sense to divide that list up into 3s and say, here's a proportionate amount for you, here's a equal proportion amount for you, and just say, because I think, and this is, what I see is people, let's use a practical example. We've pushed out and we've advertised rental assistance since what, April 1? And
Yes,
when
sir.
the docket when the docket is printed over at City Court, I think y'all saw last week that over 80% of those people had never even applied for the rental assistance. And so just placing a number somewhere, I think is, I'm trying to figure out the saying, if we did if we just do what's easy, we're not doing it right. And I think just placing that number on the website is an easy thing to do, but can't we divide that list out to those attorneys?
I think our community partners will also have this information as well. Our 5 community partners will have all these names of the attorneys that is available. And if the applicants are contacting the partners for assistance, they can refer to either one of these attorneys.
So what if they filled it out online and didn't go through the community department?
Well, that's what it would be posted online, and they can also call the service center. And
now, can you do this? Can you do
Yes,
this?
sir.
Will y'all consider sending the information to
the court? Who?
Because I can see it now where people, they gonna call Commissioner Epperson, they're not gonna call the attorney. I just think that there's a quicker way to get them connected to an attorney, as opposed to saying, you call this attorney.
Okay, I think we ought to be able to sort through who is listed on the application that they're pending eviction notices. I mean, we could probably sort that out and then provide that list to the 3 attorneys.
I see Ms. Bryant. Maybe.
I just want to add the hiccup we have is that the rules specifically prevent us from identifying information of the applicants.
Okay.
So those applicants have to give us, that's why we did it this way, because we can't just hand out the names, because that's telling them that these people applied. And according to what we've been provided, we can't just give out those names. We can't provide the identifying information. So that's why we wanted the applicants to contact, so that they are now providing their name and information, and the attorneys have that.
Okay.
Okay. That's interesting. So we can't provide, y'all know y'all gonna have to show me that in the regs.
Yes, there's a reg, a legal provided it to us because we had this inquiry before where someone wanted the names of the applicants. So we provided it, and there's a reg that prevents us we can't provide information that identifies the applicants.
But what I'm saying is, even because those attorneys are basically participants in the program now.
Right, well, we would have to, Henry's on the call to determine if whether or not, because we signed an agreement, they then have the right to that information.
Okay. Henry?
And Dr. Wilson and Eric are correct. We're not able to disclose the personal information of the people basically to the public. Additionally, there are attorney-client ethical considerations here in terms of what we can do with regard to, I mean, basically the tenant needs to be the one asking for the lawyer. We can't tell them, go to this lawyer, because in that case, well, we can't, that's unethical.
Okay.
So that's a breach of attorney ethics and would get lots of us in trouble.
Would that be client shopping? Is that what that's like?
It's just, there are a number of rules that apply there.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I'm looking for, to see what. Yeah. All right. Commissioner, thank you, Attorney Bernstein.
Sure. Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Wilson and staff, I was just wondering if we could possibly do a concerted news release, just giving updates as to where we are in the rental process. I get a lot of calls too, and I hate to, I don't know all the ins and outs of it. And what I have to do is I'll tell them to call the 226-6900 and speak with the person in the administrative staff that's working with that. But I was wondering if you could do like a press conference periodically, letting everybody know where we are with this process, because so many people, they still don't have an understanding, and they see something on a news account, read something, and it just has them in turmoil. And I just think if we could be a little more effective in our communications to the public.
Okay. We will certainly check that out, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson. Did y'all have an update just kind of on where we are with ERAP? I know that there were some developments with the resources. I think some developments early this week or last week with some payments.
Yep. Yeah, Ms. Haley?
Yes, sir.
Could you update us on where we are with the process with the state, please?
Yes,
The
sir.
program in general.
We have been going through a monitoring of our files. As of today at around 2 o'clock, the Office of Community Development has approved our first draw request, and it's being routed to GOSEP for approval. Once GOSEP makes the approval, we should get our funds in about 5 days. Once we signed the agreement last week, we began working files again, pulling files from the wait list. And so we're working on our first payment draw to pay out just as soon as we can get these funds. We are still receiving applications. As of this morning, we have 5,917 applications. Of those, we have 761 that have not been pulled yet. We pulled 500 on this morning. So we still have a big interest in the program. We're still getting lots of applicants. So we're still moving forward.
I'm sorry, Haley, can you repeat that first number that you gave out?
Number of applications was 5,917.
Received recently?
No, in total.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So we're still receiving about 30 to 35 applications a day. We've received right at 1,000 during the time we shut down. Processing that we've still taken.
Shut down. Don't say shut down.
Well, we were delayed. Delayed.
Yeah, on pause. Yeah.
Transition.
People will take it down and run with it. But right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Haley, I'm sorry.
It's fine. So we're still working the program, and hopefully GOSEP will approve our draw, and we will get the funds next week, and we'll start making payments again.
Okay. Doctor, y'all set the deadline for when y'all just gonna cut off applications? I think that we need to get, I think we're at that point.
Yeah, I think we're looking at September 30th of, we had to get together on that to see how well we can best target that date so that we'll have enough resources to cover those in the pipeline.
Okay.
That deadline will have to take place once we start the recertification process and see what percentage of our files are recertified. And that will give us a better indication of how long we can take applications. So right now it's a little premature to even mention a deadline because we don't know how our recertification process will look. And that has started, but we just don't know the percentage that will actually recertify.
Okay. And the call this morning with the Housing Corporation, our board meeting, Desiree Honore Thomas, basically, she also indicated that they're going to start looking at, I don't know if they've had this conversation with y'all yet, but they're going to start looking at other parishes because there's just, quite frankly, not a demand in some parishes for rental assistance. It's not that anything is going wrong. There's just not a demand in some of the less populated areas. And so they're going to be looking at reallocating. So we might want to start being prepared for that. Maybe we can get another batch or add it to what we have. So that was a conversation that we had this morning.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ms. Haley, I had a question for you. The recertification process is a lot less than the initial process of certifying. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. It's not as cumbersome as the first application process.
Yeah. So those things would go rather quickly. And do we have of the 5,917 any of those who are researched? Do you know?
I know those are all new.
Oh, okay, all new.
Those are all first time applicants. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Evans.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to be recognized for a point of information and a final comment if we finish on this subject.
Okay, Ms. Barnett, we appreciate all y'all's work on this, and please keep us up to date. Doc, we appreciate the work, and we know it's a tedious task. So I don't envy the work that y'all have to do. And I'll echo Commissioner Epperson. If we could also be more aggressive, I think it seems like the word is starting to get out a little bit better. But maybe the legal assistance piece, if we can do some advertisement as well as news release on who those attorneys and how they can get in contact with them. So I think this most recent eviction moratorium bought a little time, if any, not much, but it buys a little time so that we can get ahead of the eviction part of it.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Okay.
Commissioner Epperson, final say.
Mr. Chairman, a point of information first. Okay, we voted to add the agenda addition and had the public hearing. Now we will have to vote on the motion, right? Before we go.
I think, Michelle, I think what she was saying was it didn't pass unanimously.
Yes.
I don't remember what was the vote.
I'm sorry.
What was the vote?
The vote was 3 in support, 1 in opposition, and 1 absent, but it needs unanimous vote in order to be added to the agenda. So it did not pass. I misspoke earlier. Okay, all right. If it's now time for my final comment, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd just like to let everyone know that on Sunday, August the 15th, from 11:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m., the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, 4670 Lakeshore Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109, will be hosting the Vaccination Clinic in conjunction with LSUS Health and Science Center. We will be administering the J&J and the Pfizer vaccines from ages 12 and up. Ages 12 must be accompanied by a parent or guardian. There's no out-of-pocket expenses and no insurance requirement. It's open to the general public. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson. And as you know, we set those resources aside. So if y'all want to get with Dr. Wilson and Ms. Bryant to see how y'all can work to help boost your efforts, we set those resources aside for that. I hear the vaccination event that the city supported this weekend was pretty successful. And some people reached out to me to say that they thought that it was sad that people had to be paid to take the vaccine. And my response to them was, we pay businesses, we pay them to come to Caddo Parish all the time. And so, and I'm in favor of it. I support it. And I think we have to know that sometimes it takes an incentive. It's an incentive. And I believe when we sit down, Dr. Wilson, at the Board of Commerce and Industry and with the IDB and with the port, the first thing we talk about is what?
Incentives.
Incentives. And so I don't want people to see this as, you know, oh, those people got to be paid. It's an incentive. And
Yes,
so
sir.
if there's an incentive that can be done to incentivize people to do the right thing, no different than the incentive offered for Crime Stoppers. It's an incentive. So same concept, similar concept, not quid pro or anything like that, but we have to do what we have to do to encourage folks to get their vaccination, and we have to educate them. So thank you, Commissioner Epperson, for that. We had somebody named Tony that came in. Was he part of staff, or was he part of a presentation or anything? Or
No, sir. No, sir.
Oh, okay. I didn't. He had his military all up. I don't want to.
Yes, sir.
Expect what's in the military, but if
I guess he's just attending as a citizen.
Oh, okay. I just, I didn't know what was going on there. Okay, Commissioner Epperson.
Yes, that young gentleman is a product of Huntington High School. He was my mentor and the first student commissioner for a day when we put that inception in the early 90s.
Okay.
He is now in an honorable military career of 17 years and a senior master sergeant. And he's over a detachment second in command out of, I call it Fort Lewis, Washington.
Okay.
And he's always kept in contact with what's going on here in Caddo Parish. He's written a number of articles that he submitted to the paper, and I'm very proud of him. He's now working on his educational doctorate degree.
Okay.
And a proud young man from Keithville, Louisiana. And I think the last correspondence I got from him, I think Ed Lazarus is his commissioner.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad we're glad to have him. Just didn't know what was going on there, so we're glad to have him. Glad he's from Keithville, glad he's from Caddo Parish, and wish him much success, and hopefully he can come back and just address the commission one day. All right, Madam Clerk, do we have anything else?
We have nothing else on the agenda but to adjourn.
All right.
Move for adjournment.
Second. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate your work, and until we meet again, be safe.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Well, take care.
You bet.
Bye-bye.